Hi, it's Vanessa, the Shopify lead here at Big Red Jelly, and in today's video, I am going to be covering what it looks like to set up and maintain your Shopify store. In this video, I will be using our merchandise store as an example. However, all of the topics that we'll be covering will also be relevant to your own Shopify store as well. So the first topic that I want to cover is how to set up and maintain products within your Shopify store. We can do that by clicking on products on the left-hand side of our screen here. When we click on products, you'll notice that all of our existing products within our store appear here. And this is the place where we can also add products as well. So all existing products are below. And to add a product, we can click on add product in the top right-hand corner. Now, when adding a product, it's very important that you fill out all of the applicable fields so that not only do your products appear correctly on your Shopify website, but so that your products are also accessible and that your customers can purchase and receive them as well. So in creating or adding a product to your Shopify store, it's important that you add a title, a description, and media, which is really just the three basics of making sure a product appears on your website, making sure your customers understand what the product is, what it includes or the details behind the product, and what it looks like. Now, it's also important that you categorize the product because this will be how you easily find your product through your Shopify dashboard and how your customers find your product on the front end of your website as well. So with categorizing items, for example, if it was a sweatshirt, we'd want to make sure we categorize it as clothing. If it was a sticker, maybe categorizing it as art or decor. If it was a cup koozie, categorizing it again as it would be merchandise, but making sure it's within the correct category as well, etc. And this is going to ensure that you can appropriately categorize several products into one collection for your customers to shop that category on the front end of your website as well, which we'll get into a little bit later. That being said, it's also important that you correctly price your item and that these items are also set up as well. Compare at is going to ensure that your customers understand if the product is marked down or if you're running a sale. Unit price is allowing you to track how you are profiting off the product, making sure you're charging tax when applicable, and cost per item is also tracking your profits as well. Now, inventory is going to be important in ensuring your customers understand whether the product is available or sold out, and also ensuring that you don't oversell items that you don't have available. Now, here you'll notice you'll be able to set up inventory per each location if you have multiple locations, and again, that you can track the quantity for each of those as well. Now, if you use SKUs or barcodes, making sure those are set up. And if it's not a digital product, if it is a physical product, making sure that when it's out of stock, people can't purchase the product either. Now, shipping is going to be important again in making sure that the customer receives their item and so that you don't lose profit on shipping. Here you'll notice you'll have the option to toggle whether it's a physical product or not, right? If it's a digital product, shipping obviously won't be applicable. But if it is a physical product, making sure that you have your package defaults set up appropriately so that you know how you're going to ship the item, whether that's in a box or an envelope, and making sure that the weight of the product is set up so that the shipping prices are calculated properly at checkout. Now, if you do ship internationally, making sure that you have the country of origin and the HS code is going to be important in making sure that when the package passes customs, you don't run into any issues with that product needing to be returned to you, making sure it doesn't get lost, etc. Now, variance is really fun dependent on the products that you have. For example, if we were selling a sweatshirt and we had the same design in white, black, beige, red, we'd have the option to come in here and add variance, and we could do that based on either, again, color, size, weight, maybe. Trying to think of examples. But here's where you would add those, and then you would be able to track price based on the variant, the quantity based on the variant. And so there are a lot of details here if you're selling the same, I guess, different variants of the same product. And the cool thing about Shopify is that you're able to add variants to one product rather than adding each variant as its individual product as well. It makes it a lot easier for your customers to find the product that they're looking for and easily convert and find those options on the front end of your website. Now, in the search engine listing, it's going to be important that you include your proper SEO data, your metadata, etc., and just making sure that your product is easily found through your store as well. And you'd be able to do that by editing that here. So those are some of the simple details of creating a product. Now, there are a lot of more details when it comes to organizing that on your store, making sure it's active and available, making sure you have it published across your different platforms, and again, just making sure that it's categorized appropriately on the front end of your store. Now, a really cool thing about Shopify is that they do offer different templates dependent on the theme that you're using for your Shopify store as well. So the theme template here is going to be important in just making sure that that product is also properly displayed in its appropriate page on the front end of your website, which we'll also get into. But that's the basics of creating a product. Now, managing a product is a little bit more simple when it comes to, again, just managing your existing products. You'll see here that currently we have all of our products archived just because we aren't selling through the Shopify store. But here is where there's a lot of details based on how they're categorized, the inventory, what the status of the product is, if it's even available for purchase, where it's available for purchase based on channels. So making sure you have all of this organized is going to be important, and just, again, making sure you're not overselling products and making sure that the correct ones are available for purchase. Now, I won't dive into managing the products too much, just because, again, there are a lot of details that we could really dive into as far as different statuses of products and what that looks like. Now, the next topic that I wanted to cover was managing and setting up your collections, which is very similar to products. However, collections is the way that we are organizing the products on the back end of your Shopify store and on the front end where your customers are searching for them. So in collections, it's under products. Here you'll be able to see all existing collections we have and create new ones as well. Like I mentioned, very similar to your products. So here you'll notice a few existing collections we have are stickers, hats, beanies. It looks like we have some accessories as well. You'll notice here we don't actually have any products within the collections, but this is what an existing collection would look like. Now, to create a collection, you would do the same as you would a product, hit add collection, and again, making sure the appropriate fields within your collection, making sure that they're filled out is going to be important. So adding a title, for example, stickers, making sure we have a description, also for SEO purposes, and describing to your customers what's included in the collection, your collection type, either setting that up by a manual process or a smart process, and really just making sure all of the correct products are in that collection for purchase. Now, collection type is where it gets a little bit finicky or a little bit more difficult in terms of managing that or setting that up. One of the most frustrating parts about creating a collection is you kind of have to do it right the first time or you have to start over. And the reason for that is based on the collection type. So if we create a manual collection, we won't be able to switch that back to a smart collection. You essentially have to pick what it's going to be from the start and go from there. And if you do want to switch it back, you have to create an entire new collection. So it's just important to have the knowledge behind your products and understand whether it's going to be manual or smart. So a manual collection would be going through and hand picking products that are going to be in that collection, which I don't recommend because it's a lot more difficult to maintain. Whereas a smart collection is going to be more automated and easier for you to maintain. A smart collection will allow products to automatically filter to this category based on the conditions that we set up. So for example, if we click Smart Collection, you'll notice we can set up conditions that allow the products to filter. For example, we could set up a product with a tag, and if we tag our product with, in this case, sticker or long sleeve, whatever the collection was that we were setting up, it would allow all sticker products to appear in that collection and for your customers to easily shop all stickers on your website. So again, that's where within the product itself, it's important that those conditions or those settings are also set up. Here you can add an image and change the template as well. The image typically you use if you are displaying that collection on a collection page, I guess really just highlighting all of the different collections on your website. And the template is, again, showing you how that collection, the products within that collection are going to appear on the front end of your website. So again, a lot to manage and think about when it comes to creating a collection. Now, the next thing that I wanted to jump into is optimizing your store and what it looks like to customize things. So on the left-hand side under sales channels, we'll come here to online store. We'll go ahead and discard this so we can actually go to it. But in online store, you'll see your themes, your pages, your preferences, and your themes is where your main Shopify store is going to exist. You'll notice the theme we're using currently is Ella, and this is the one that's published. Now to edit your Shopify store, you'll come here to edit theme. And within the theme, there's a lot that you'll first see and a lot to be aware of before we even get into the details about structuring a page, laying it out, updating the navigation menu, etc. So here you'll notice on the left-hand side, we have our home page, which is the page that we're looking at, and then the layout of the page as well. We have our header, which is this group of sections up here, our template, which would be the homepage template, these sections within the middle, and then our footer group, the footer section here at the bottom. Now, you'll notice here we have theme settings, which is, I guess, the second navigation menu item within the theme editor. And your theme settings are essentially your global settings, which control how your store is set up, what colors you're using, what fonts you're using, your social media links, etc. So you'll notice here in general, there are a lot of details as far as making sure we have basic SEO settings set up, like our favicon, our logo, terms and conditions, even just basic width, height information, customer login info and how that looks. So a lot of general settings to be aware of. Now, if I close this, we'll scroll back to the top. Here we go. Below that, we have more, I guess, general items, and even above, typography, making sure you're using the right fonts that match your brand, making sure that the website itself is laid out and that the margins are correct across the entire website. Coming in here and making sure that your quick cart looks the way that you want, your quick view, any countdowns, if you have a newsletter pop up, etc. So it's really important that before you even jump into customizing your Shopify store on the front end, that all of your basic settings are set up as well. And you'll notice there's a lot here: products, general, your animations, if there's any custom code that needs to be applied for whatever reason, if that's apps or plugins or code that you're using to make sure your website's accessible. So a lot of important things to keep in mind here as well. And this third one you'll see is app embeds. And this is if you're pulling in your social media, if you're pulling in reviews from third-party sites. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with apps. And your apps is going to be one of the main things that ensures your website functions properly. You can think of those as online tools specific to your Shopify site. Now, when it comes to managing the structure or the page layout of your website, you'll do that in your sections group. So keep in mind that if you update your header here, it's going to update across your entire site, and same thing with the footer. So there's a lot in here when it comes to making sure that the sections are set up appropriately. They represent your brand, your visual identity is set up, your brand messaging is consistent. So in here, you'll notice we have a section called Featured Collection, which is where we are featuring our two collections, so our best sellers and our just in. Now, if we wanted to edit this section, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have our editor that appears. And this is how you're essentially updating what it looks like and how it's styled on the page. Now, if we select our collection, you'll notice that that editor changes specific to the collection that we are wanting to update. So you'd be able to select the collection here, update the image, and then it's going to be important that you ensure it looks the way you want based on your global settings, so your colors and your fonts that you're using, height, width, etc., and making sure that the button text is accurate and links to the appropriate page as well. And there's a lot of details in there, ultimately, just to make sure that this small section within the big section, within the entire page itself, functions appropriately. So that's kind of what it looks like to edit and customize your theme. Now, there are a lot of additional details that come in up here under store default and homepage. Under store default, you'll notice the different markets that you're selling across, and you'll be able to customize those here. And one of the bigger places in managing your theme internally would be the pages that you're editing here. So there's a lot to customize and set up before you even begin selling, which you'll notice here. Your home page, making sure your product pages are set up the way you want them to appear, your collections, your list of collections and how all of those appear, your cart, and any other additional pages you have set up, such as FAQs, an About Us page, a contact page, any of the other basic pages that a Shopify store wouldn't offer. For example, if we come in here to pages, you'll notice we have all of our different templates here. We have our template FAQs, which is a page that we have set up on our website. So we've created a specific customized template just for the FAQs page so that when we edit that page, it's not ruining or updating anything that we've already set up on our Shopify site. And that's where I was referring to earlier in the product section with templates and making sure that your products are being displayed on the correct template pages and making sure your basic pages are being displayed on your other templates as well. So again, our FAQs page here, we have created our template and we've included sections within our template to ensure that, again, it's set up correctly. So just a lot of things to keep in mind. And just to kind of, connect the full circle here with our templates, if we go back to products and we come in here to our sticker pack, you'll find the templates here. So currently this is being displayed in a default product. We would want to make sure it stays that way and that it's not displayed in another one of these templates that we've created. Again, just making sure it's displayed appropriately on the front end. Now, a few of the last items that I wanted to cover in this video go over setting up basic pages, updating our navigation menu that's located in our header, and making sure that our Shopify settings are set up correctly for our store as well. So bear with me while I review the rest of these topics. But jumping into pages, it's a little bit similar to products and collections. However, these pages are going to be pages that primarily store information rather than they do products or, again, things to purchase. So if we come here to online store, again, you'll notice we have the themes, and under that we have pages. So within the pages themselves, you'll notice we have these different ones here. FAQs was the one that I was showing on the front end, so I will use this as an example again. But here again is where all of our existing pages is, or are, I should say, and if we want to create a new page, we do the same as we would if we were adding a product or a collection. So adding a page, making sure we have the title set up and the content within that page set up, and making sure that it's being displayed on the correct template so that when we edit that through our theme, again, we're not adjusting or updating any of the other templates we've built out for the other customized pages. For example, we wouldn't want this to display on the template FAQs since that's already assigned to our template FAQs page, or I guess just to our FAQs page. So if we come back here to pages, When we click into our FAQs page, you'll notice we have our title. We don't have any content displayed in here since the FAQs or the content is displayed in the theme internally. We've ensured that it's visible, and again, it's displaying in the correct template. And here is where you, again, be able to update your SEO settings for that page. Now with managing pages, you'll be able to update the visibility, again, the content within the pages, and determining which ones you want your customers to see. Now, the interesting thing about a Shopify store is that we aren't able to update how these pages are displayed in our navigation menu when editing the theme. That's actually in a separate place, and that is stored under content. So under content, if we come here to menus, you'll notice we have our main menu, which is, again, what's displayed in our header. And if we click into our main menu, you'll notice we have our menu items, which is the different options or different pages that customers can click or navigate to on our site. So we have our shop by shopped by item, which would be just the general page where people could go to shop all products, all collections, same thing, but with the collections, our contact page, our FAQs page. And you'll notice that when setting up a menu, we have the option to create a label, which is how it appears on the front end. And then our link, which is making sure that when a customer clicks on that link, they are taken to the appropriate page. And so there's also a lot of details in here and just making sure that the labels are set up correctly, that your menu is structured correctly, and that it leads your customers to where they are wanting to go when they click on that item. And again, just making sure that your collections and products and pages are set up correctly will be important in making sure you guide your customers to where they are wanting to go as well. Now, with managing menus, very similar to managing pages or products or collections, you can create new menus. You can even come in here to your main menu and add items. You can also remove the menu, etc. So a lot to be aware of in here. The last thing that I wanted to cover before I end this video is just making sure that your Shopify settings are set up as well. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice we have settings. This is basically all of the general settings behind your Shopify store. So making sure your contact information is set up correctly and really just making sure it's easy for you to manage things on the back end. Now you'll notice store assets down here. And these are important in making sure that your brand is displayed appropriately across your site and within emails that your customers will receive when placing an order, any confirmation emails they receive, etc. So it's going to be important that you come in here and add your branding, your logos, your colors, your cover image, your brand messaging, your slogan, a short description, any social links you might have, making sure, again, all of this is accurate, because this is what your customers will see when they receive an automated email from you. Plan is where you'll be able to manage what Shopify plan you're on. Billing is where you'll also be able to manage that. Users and permission is where you're going to be able to manage your staff. Payments is going to be the payments that you allow, or the payments that people can use when making a purchase on your site. So I like Shopify payments. I think it's one of the easier routes to go in terms of profiting from your Shopify store. But here is where you'd also be able to set up and select other payment methods that are available through your store. And really just making sure all of these are set up will be important in making sure that you can even sell. Checkout, making sure that's set up. So just allowing, different settings, emails available in there when they are entering their information, what that looks like, what things are required before they make their purchase. Customer accounts, making sure that you allow configurations, authentications, and making sure that your different accounts across platforms show up appropriately. So if people want to sign in with Shop and add their information there, allowing that. Now, shipping and delivery is going to be one of your biggest ones, and making sure that your shipping carriers are set up. So your preferred carriers here, setting up estimated delivery dates based on when you package your item and when you drop it off with your carrier or when your carrier picks it up, your order routing, any local delivery or locations you have where customers can come in and pick things up, customizations, packages, etc. Now, I won't go through every single one of these because there are a lot of details in here, but when our team is going through and making sure your site is ready for launch, essentially during our pre-launch checklist, we always ensure that each of these are set up, which takes a lot of time for our team to do. Tax and duties, locations, markets, making sure your site is then connected to your actual domain and not just stored on a Shopify domain, etc. So that's essentially the basics of setting up and maintaining a Shopify store. I know it can feel overwhelming and be confusing, but that's what we are here to help you out with. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me personally. My email is vanessa@bigredjelly.com. Other than that, I hope this helps. Thanks.